BBC News, hello, I'm Eileen McHugh. Afghanistan's Taliban rulers have urged aid agencies and other countries to intensify relief efforts after an earthquake in the southeast of the country that's believed to have killed 1,000 people. A spokesman for the Foreign Ministry, Abdul Kahar Balkhi, told the BBC that the international sanctions imposed on Afghanistan meant the government was unable to provide all the help needed. The UN humanitarian representative in Kabul, Dr. Ramiz Alakbarov, says the country no longer has the finances to deal with major disasters.
The government of Afghanistan used to have a budget of $13.5 billion, out of which $8 billion were paid by international community. I do not think I need to describe what happens to the governance structures or a national budget if the $8 billion aid is not available. You may imagine what sort of difficulties they face.
The final part of a mammoth report into alleged corruption in South Africa under the former president Jacob Zuma has been handed to his successor Cyril Ramaphosa. The report by Judge Raymond Zondo is more than 5,000 pages long. From Johannesburg, Nomsa Maseko reports.
The final report into government corruption in South Africa has been released after a 4-year investigation period. It paints a picture of a country whose coffers were looted by its former president Jacob Zuma and his associates, the Gupta brothers. They've all denied any wrongdoing. The findings also state that Mr. Zuma, acting with the country's former spy boss Arthur Fraser, halted an investigation into the Gupta family in 2011, paving the way for looting of state resources.
The International Monetary Fund has expressed support for a wide-ranging but controversial economic reform programme being implemented by the government in Tunisia. The country is facing a severe economic crisis and is asking for a $4 billion loan. David Bamford reports.
The IMF's Middle East Director, Jihad Azur, after meeting President Kais Saied in Tunis on Wednesday, said he likes the reform plan and that the IMF was ready to discuss a loan. The plan includes freezing wages, stopping recruitment in the public sector and cutting energy and food subsidies. But there have been big protests and Tunisia's powerful trade union movement has called nationwide strikes. The president has already suspended parliament and sacked his entire cabinet. He says he needs even more powers to better steer the country. His opponents say that amounts to a coup against democracy.
The Bulgarian Prime Minister, Kirill Petkov, has lost a confidence vote in Parliament, throwing the country into political turmoil as it grapples with inflation and its stance on the war in Ukraine. The fall of the pro-European, pro-NATO government is a blow to EU leaders ahead of their enlargement summit starting on Thursday. World News from the BBC. The judicial authorities in Argentina say 8 members of Diego Maradona's medical team are to face criminal charges in relation to the footballing legend's death 2 years ago. Kat Wiener reports.
Among those facing charges of criminal negligence over alleged failures in Maradona's care are his family doctor, Leopoldo Luque, a psychologist and 2 nurses. Maradona, who was widely considered to be one of the greatest footballers of all time, died of a heart attack while recovering from brain surgery for a blood clot. Prosecutors say the medical team failed to take the prompt and necessary action that could have saved his life. The 1986 World Cup winner was a national icon in Argentina.
The Pope has condemned Monday's killing of 3 people, including 2 Catholic priests, in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. He called it a shocking reminder of the level of violence in the country. A man fleeing an armed gang who sought refuge in a church in the town of Seracawi was shot dead by the gunman, as were the 2 priests who attempted to intervene. The new president-elect of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, says he has discussed reopening the 2,000-kilometre border his country shares with Venezuela. The move, mooted for after August, when Mr. Petro takes office, is being seen as an important step towards the normalisation of trade and diplomatic relations between the 2 countries. Mr. Petro, a former Marxist rebel, was elected president on Sunday. President Biden has called on the US Congress to suspend federal taxes on petrol and diesel for 3 months to try and bring down record fuel prices for drivers. Mr. Biden also appealed to individual states to do the same and urged petrol stations to pass on the rebate in full to consumers. Mr. Biden acknowledged that oil and gas prices had risen partly as a result of sanctions against Russia after its invasion of Ukraine. BBC News.